Our first speaker is Erika Jackson, who's coming to us from the institutional analysis side, BIA. Thanks, Erika.
Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for having me here today. So Carolyn asked me to just come and bring a few stats and sort of set this scene for what both representation on our campus looks like and what outcomes for those students has been. So we just got the new fall 18 numbers in like a day ago. So of our new incoming fall cohort of brand new students, freshmen and transfer, 43% of those students come from families in which there's no parent that graduated from a four-year school. Just again, that's our strict definition of first generation. And so it's a little bit, so I think, so 43% of new undergraduates, it's a little bit lower if you can count the continuing students, so 42% of all enrolled undergraduates for fall. As you may know, it's a little bit different based on freshmen and transfer, so about 40% of our freshman students are first generation and about 50% of our transfer students are first generation. Our first generation students are more likely to be coming to us from the LA area and from the Central Valley, less likely to be coming from San Francisco Bay region, and certainly out of state and international students are less likely to be first generation. Just to get a sense of where we kind of place in the UC continuum, so we're about in the middle. These were fall 17 numbers. We don't have the fall 18 numbers from all the other campuses yet. So we were at 44% last year compared to Berkeley with less than a third, and I doubt we will reach the Merced mark of 74%. They're doing a ton to serve this population. So in terms of who's on our campus, I wanted to take a quick look at where they're studying across our campus. So these are the top 10 majors by first generation on the left and non-first generation on the right. So I don't actually know what color that, it ended up being hard to read, sorry. So I turned into what I thought was light blue, the majors that don't appear on both lists. And so the top 7 for each group are the same. They come in different orders, but they're the same across both groups. But for first generation students, that top 10 is rounded out by sociology, human development, and English, as compared to non-first generation students who round out with computer science, communication, and mechanical engineering. As you may know, there's a ton of major change on our campus, so less than half of students end up graduating with the major that they came in with, and that's for a variety of different reasons, right? So some students are finding their real passion or deciding they're going to pursue something different than what their parents wanted them to pursue. But I quickly looked before I came in at just the difference in rates of major change between first gen and non-first gen students. And first gen students do change their major about 5 percentage points more often than non-first gen students. And so I think it's something we maybe could dig in a little bit deeper to know what portion of those major changes are ones that we would be happy about and the student would be happy about, and what share of those are changes that the student, perhaps wish they didn't have to make, or, their first plan didn't work out. We have a college exit survey that we work with the associate deans to do, and it's something that I think we could consider putting on there if, is the degree you finished with the one that you're happy about, or, we'd think carefully about how to word that. So that's just something to think about in terms of where our students are studying. And then the last couple slides we'll look at are in terms of outcomes. So these are the 4, 5, and 6-year graduation rates for students who enter as freshmen. The lighter colored lines are for non-first generation students. The darker lines are for first generation students. So broadly, you can see, like in the panel that's on the left, those are 4-year rates. We've made considerable progress with both groups over the past decade or so. So first generation students that entered in 2000, only 36% of them were finishing in 4 years, and now 55% of them are finishing their degrees in 4 years. Those rates jump up a ton, even just by the 5th year, so up to 79% for 5-year graduation rates and 83% for 6-year graduation rates. Unfortunately, despite both groups climbing, they've climbed at similar rates, and so our gaps between our first generation students 4-year and 5-year and 6-year graduation rates haven't budged very much over time. When you control for differences in academic preparation coming in, so just GPA and SAT, those gaps get cut in about half, so go from about 14 points to 7 or so, I think. So it doesn't explain it all, but explains a fair portion of it. Our first generation students are certainly more likely to be in our workload courses, which is what Carolyn is taking the lead on, a working group the chancellor asked her to lead on closing the preparation gap. And so we're looking a lot into what these courses are and how they're serving our students and how they could be designed to better serve our students. I look quickly, so I think right now, first generation students, over 10% of them enroll in the chemistry workload course, and only 2% of non-first gen students do. It's similar for math, about 8% go into the workload course for math, 2% of non-first gen, and then a much bigger chunk of our students enroll in the writing workload course, so about 24% of non-first gen and over a third of first generation students are enrolling in the workload writing course. So we're hopeful that the work that's being done by that committee will make progress on that front. We'll take a similar look for transfer students, which interestingly we don't actually see any gaps between first generation and non-first generation students on 4, 5, or 6-year rates, and they've been stable like that across time. Unfortunately, you can see that that 55% is pretty similar to the first gen rate for freshmen. So we have work to do to get our transfer students out in 2 years for sure. And the last couple things I wanted to show, okay, so these are graduate degrees, and sorry these ended up being kind of small. So this is actually from the UC Office of the President site, which I encourage everyone, anytime I talk to, if you want to know something about some group of students, their info center has a ton of information, and it seems like every time I go to it, there's something else that you can cut by first generation or non, or different demographics. So I encourage you to check out their site. In addition to all the work that's being done on our campus. So these are graduate degrees conferred to Davis students who graduated between 2000 and 2009, based on whether they're a first generation or not. So it seems that we certainly have a large percentage of our students going on to further their education, but again, it does vary by whether the student is the first in the family to go to college. The last thing I just wanted to say was a large part of my portfolio is to work on student success work, but I also do a lot with the university rankings, and you may know that several of the big rankings of universities are shifting towards this look at not just how great are your great students doing, but what's the sort of value add to your institution. So U.S. News just this year added a social mobility measure into their ranking, and Washington Monthly and New York Times have for the past few years been publishing a ranking that's largely focused on the degree to which social mobility is happening on campuses. And so I just encourage us, as we talk with colleagues about universities rank this or universities rank that, to both look at those rankings that do privilege the things that we think are important and that we're working on, but just know that the good work that I think we're doing on campus to close these gaps, to help these students, is being rewarded by more and more folks on the outside. So any questions? And I meant to say at the beginning, these are kind of the same statistics you see a lot, but if you feel like there's things that you want to know about this population, we have a lot of data about students, and so anytime that you're wondering something, I think there's several people in the room that can answer questions, but definitely let us know if there's something that you're wanting to know about that you haven't seen a graph about. All right, thank you.